Hi folks, welcome to MTS. It's been a while since I've done a revival. With the heat indices in the upper 90s, low 100s this time of year in late June, I figured it'd be a great time for a revival on the workbench. I just recently come across this one on eBay. It's a 1655 Scout engine with whistling tender. This one has the 242 wheel configuration and was produced between 1948 and 1949. Listing didn't say if it worked or not, but I've revived several of these style locomotives over the years, and generally doesn't take much to get them going, and it's a lot of fun. Looking at the tender, it is stamped with a 6654W, which is paired correctly according to the Davis-Doyle Collector's Guide. It's going to need some resoldering and maybe a wire replacement. Also need to find a screw, as it's missing one to secure the whistle assembly to the chassis. So let's get into it. I'm going to start by testing the whistle assembly. There we go. Sounds pretty good. Already worth the $22 I have in it. Oh, there we go. Smell that ozone. Locomotive is working as well, so I'll probably just replace the brushes and clean up the E unit. These style locomotives come apart pretty easily. I want to be careful with that. It's kind of loose and it's just stamped on there, right? So we don't want to do anything too much with that. But yeah, there's just a flathead. These are some specialty screws. There we go. Take this out. You can see it's a rather long screw there for the back one. Front. Go ahead and remove these two screws, get this plate off of here. The rear truck assembly needs some attention here. We're just going to remove the rear truck assembly. There's a retaining clip that will need to be removed. We want to be careful spreading the clip, as they will break. Separate that a little bit. There we go, comes right off. Oh, and we just broke it. And good thing I got plenty of those left over. There we go. Nice and clean. We'll take the single screw out to remove the E unit. Again, it was operating fine, but it seemed like it may be a little gummy, may need to have some, oh yeah, it definitely needs some cleanup. Plunger out of place here, just where it's out of the way. I'm going to just kind of freewheel this and just see what it feels like. Yeah, it's moving along pretty well. It's just really dirty. So I'm just going to use electrical contact cleaner. There we go. Let's get in here with the Q-tip first. Oh yeah. Most of this wiring is original, it looks like, so I don't want to mess with that too much. Going like that. Ah, there it goes. Put that little screw back in there. Now let's replace those brushes. We're just going to remove these two screws that hold in the retaining plate. There we go. Alright, get you zoomed in here a little bit. You can see what we're working with. So I'm going to clean out these brass pieces here with the springs still in play. And then we'll clean the armature plate and get that back together. Also, we'll replace these brushes. I can't find where the other one went, but you can see they're pretty small. They've been worn down pretty well. So again, going with this classic 622-121 brush. Again, you can see a pretty significant difference between there's the used one, and this is what we'll be replacing it with. This one definitely had a lot of run time. All right, we'll go to words are hard. I'm going to go ahead and clean out all of these pieces here with the Q-tip. Just get those nice and clean, get all the contacts cleaned out. We'll clean off the brush plate, bring it right back here in just a short. So I'm just going to take this small Q-tip right in there and get all that nice and clean. You can see that I've already worked through that and it came out pretty nasty. But that's all clean now. Take the other side of this. Okay. Go. First try. Okay, that feels pretty good. Again, always go back to the this is a conductor lubricant. We're just going to put a little bit on the brush plate. Spin that around a little bit. There we go. Before I do that, let me see if I've got replacement screw. Excuse me, replacement shoes, contact shoes here. All right. Well, wouldn't you know it? I do not have any replacement slide shoes for these, so I'm going to just go ahead and remove this plate just so we can kind of show you that process. I'll take these old shoes out. We'll have to order some more, and I'll finish up the video once they come in. To remove, you're just going to take this one screw off the end of the back. And that should allow that to raise up. There we go. And as you can see, there's the underside. Raise that up, and that's going to slide right out. Do the same on the other side. Raise up this little brass tab and pull the shoe. There we go. Again, we'll get some more of these on order, and once they come back in, we'll put it all back together. All right, folks, so I got the replacement shoes in, so we're going to reinstall those. It's actually pretty simple. We're just like we took them out, we're going to raise that little piece of brass right there just enough to where we can get that clip to go underneath it. There we go. Just snaps right into place. There we go. We'll do the same with the other side. Perfect. All right, now I'll reinstall that, bring it back in a second. So there we go. Looks a whole lot better. That should help it glide it across the track pretty well. Now we'll just get this reassembled. Okay, so key thing here is just making sure your wires stay out of the way when you're setting this back into place. There's like a C on the front of there. A little reverse C there. We're going to just kind of put that in place, and then on the back it's actually got a kind of an elongated hole. You just want to line that up with the hole that's in the back. And then you can take your long bolts or screws, long screws. There it goes. And just kind of give it a start and then go onto the front one. And we'll do the same thing. Make sure you have your handy screwdriver in place. Now, because that one is a reverse C, it doesn't want it. You may have to kind of go back and forth a little bit just to find that thread on the other side. Now we're in place. Just tighten that down. Tighten that one down. You have these two small Phillips head screws that go on the front. That one. And let's see if I can get this on without having to take it all apart. Oh, also you'll notice I was able to straighten this bracket up. It was kind of twisted when I had taken it apart, so I just put it in a vise and got it together that way. Doesn't work like that. That looks right to me. Bring that back into place. I'm going to squeeze the two ends of that. There we go. Perfect. That's great. Let's get into that tinder, and we'll resolder that one connection on there. Now with these old tin plate whistling tinders, that wire is like really brittle. As you can see, it's just breaking. I'm going to replace the wires here. In order to do that and do this properly, we're going to, there's 6 small tabs. All right, so you have a tab right here at the top, and all you have to do is just straighten them out. They're just bent at a small angle, just enough to where that shell won't come off. So we're just going to line up the tab with that slot. So you can see where it's actually kind of bent right there. We're just going to straighten, I'm just taking a small pair of needle nose pliers. We're just straightening that up. We've got all those in place, so that should just come right out. Just like that. So as you can see, it's just those 2 screws that hold this whistle assembly in place. So that's moving freely. We're going to get you'll want to just kind of take note of how these wires are soldered into here. This wire feels like it's been replaced already. It's not as brittle as the other one. So I'm just going to replace the one wire that goes to this truck right here. Yeah, and we'll just get rid of this guy. While we're waiting for the iron to get hot, we'll go ahead and remove this clip here. Try not to break this one. Go. Demo pick. There we go. Again, I don't understand why this was bent up so much. I guess they had a problem with it grounding out, maybe on the center rail. But we're going to straighten everything back out for right now. There we go. Now this actually has the old wire you can see on there, so I'm just going to desolder that, get that out of there, and I've got my replacement wire here. We'll just go ahead and start with that, and then we'll run it to the whistle. There we go. Now if you notice there's a hole in the bottom of the chassis, we're just going to run this wire right back up through there. I did plenty of excess. I didn't want to not have enough. Have to remember to put our little coupler on there. I know that's not what it's called. And then we'll find that clamp. It's hidden right there. We'll put that back in place. And again, we're going to squeeze that back together. There we go. Okay, soldering iron is nice and hot. We have our replacement one here. And as you can see, both wires are going to the same post. So There's the old wire. Throw that out. And again, I made sure I had plenty of excess here, so I'm going to cut a little bit more off of that. There we go. And then we'll strip that part of it off. Again, little flux. All right. Nice secure connection. We're going to remove the soldering iron. We're going to unplug that. I'm going to refasten the whistle assembly. I'll put the shell back on. We'll be ready for a quick test. Something else I'm going to do here is just run a zip tie around where these two wires come through the chassis. Nothing more than just kind of keeping it to where I don't have too much slack coming back through the chassis. Cut off the excess. And there we go. So going through this, something I noticed, it's got some kind of painter's tape between the connection here. That's not factory. Somebody's modified this somehow. So I'm going to try to work on getting that cleaned out. Yeah, sure enough. Had a whole piece of tape there covering the bottom part of it. Not sure why that was in place like that. Yeah, that's running great. Sounds good too. Okay, got the shell back on. What we're going to do now is just bend these tabs just ever so slightly. They are prone to break. So you just want to basically just make it to where the shell doesn't come off. So we're just going to kind of bend them just a little bit. One back here and one over here. There we go. Perfect. We'll do another bench test, make sure everything's working like it's supposed to. Oh, that's great. Sounds good. Well, there you have it. Hope this video was able to help you out, or at least see another method to keeping these classics on the rails. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the line.